What if the biggest changes in life don't come from grand gestures, but from small, consistent actions? What if patience is not just about waiting, but about trusting the process? This is the story of a man who thought he needed to move mountains, until a single drop of water taught him otherwise. The morning sun filtered through the dense forest canopy, casting dappled light on the moss-covered stones below. A young man named Hiroshi knelt by a stream, his hands cupped to catch the cool water. His face was tense, his mind heavy with frustration. For years, Hiroshi had chased big dreams, building a business, gaining recognition, proving himself to the world. But no matter how hard he worked, success always seemed just out of reach. Each failure felt like a mountain he couldn't climb, each setback a weight he couldn't lift. One day, while wandering through the forest in search of clarity, he stumbled upon an old stone temple hidden among the trees. Its walls were cracked, its roof sagging, but something about it called to him. As he approached, an elderly monk emerged, his presence calm and steady. He introduced himself as Master Sora. Without hesitation, Hiroshi blurted out his question. "How do I achieve greatness when everything feels impossible?" The monk studied him for a moment, then smiled gently. "Greatness is not achieved by moving mountains, Hiroshi. It is achieved by embracing the power of a single drop." Confused, Hiroshi frowned. "A single drop? What does that even mean?" Master Sora gestured for him to follow inside. "Come with me," he said. "But tell me first, are you ready to see the truth? If this resonates with you, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by the demands of life or unsure of how to make the most of your days, stay with me until the end. This story might just change the way you see patience forever. If these words speak to you, leave a like. It's a small gesture that helps bring this message to others who need it. And if you're ready to explore transformative lessons like this, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Your journey starts now. The next morning, Master Sora took Hiroshi to a secluded corner of the temple grounds. There, a large stone sat beneath a dripping faucet. "Look closely," the monk said. At first, Hiroshi saw nothing remarkable, but as he watched, he noticed a small indentation in the stone where the water had been dripping for years. "Each drop is insignificant on its own," Master Sora explained. "But over time, they carve through even the hardest stone. Your efforts are the same. Consistency, not intensity, shapes your destiny." Hiroshi thought about his own life. The late nights, the endless hustle, the burnout. What if he had focused on steady progress instead of quick results? The monk handed him a small bucket filled with water. "Pour one drop at a time onto the stone," he instructed. Hiroshi hesitated but complied. As each drop hit the surface, it seemed to make no difference. Yet, after several minutes, he noticed a faint darkening where the water landed. "It takes time," Master Sora said. "But even the smallest action, repeated consistently, can create change." Hiroshi nodded slowly, beginning to see the wisdom in the monk's words. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Master Sora gestured for Hiroshi to follow him to another part of the temple. Along the way, they passed a garden where monks were tending to rows of young plants. "Why do they water the plants every day?" the monk asked. Hiroshi shrugged. "To help them grow." Master Sora smiled. "Yes, but why not pour all the water at once and be done with it?" Hiroshi thought for a moment. "Because too much water would drown them. They need just enough every day." "Exactly," the monk said. "Growth happens in small, consistent doses, not in sudden bursts." They stopped by a tree whose roots spread wide and deep into the earth. "This tree started as a tiny seed," Master Sora said. "It didn't grow overnight. It grew because someone cared for it, day after day, year after year." Hiroshi ran his fingers along the rough bark, feeling its strength. He realized that his own life was like that tree. If he wanted to grow, he needed to nurture himself with patience and care. The monk turned to him, his expression gentle but firm. "Now, think about what you carry with you every day. Are there things you've been holding onto that no longer serve you? Sometimes, letting go is the first step toward growth." Hiroshi looked down at his hands, now empty, and felt a strange sense of clarity washing over him. Later that evening, Master Sora handed Hiroshi a teapot and an empty cup. As he poured tea, the liquid overflowed onto the table. "Stop! The cup is full!" Hiroshi exclaimed. "Exactly," the monk said with a smile. "You are like this cup, filled with expectations, worries, and distractions. How can new wisdom enter if there is no space?" Hiroshi frowned, unsure of what the monk meant. Master Sora gestured for him to sit. "Close your eyes," he instructed. Hiroshi hesitated but complied. The room grew quiet, save for the faint hum of the wind outside. "Now breathe deeply and let your thoughts pass like clouds in the sky. Do not hold on to them." At first, Hiroshi's mind raced. Thoughts of his past failures, his frustrations, his doubts, all clamored for attention. But slowly, as he focused on his breath, the noise began to fade. A sense of calm washed over him, subtle but undeniable. When he opened his eyes, Master Sora was watching him intently. "How do you feel?" "Lighter," Hiroshi admitted. The monk nodded. "That is the power of emptiness. When you create space within yourself, you make room for growth." He pointed to a nearby garden where monks were tending to rows of young plants. A seed cannot grow if the soil is too crowded. It needs space to take root. Your mind is the same. Hiroshi looked at the garden, then back at the monk. "But how do I keep it empty? My thoughts always come rushing back." Master Sora chuckled softly. "Emptiness is not about having no thoughts. It is about not clinging to them. Like the river, let them flow through you without resistance." That night, as Hiroshi lay on a simple mat in the temple, he thought about the monk's words. For years, he had filled his life with endless tasks, goals, and distractions, believing they would bring him closer to happiness. But now, he realized he had been carrying too much. The silence of the temple felt strange at first, almost uncomfortable. Yet, as he listened to the distant rustle of leaves and the soft chirping of crickets, he began to notice something, a quiet stillness within himself. It was as if, for the first time, he could hear his own thoughts clearly. The next morning, Hiroshi joined the monks in their meditation practice. Sitting cross-legged on the wooden floor, he closed his eyes and focused on his breath. At first, the familiar rush of thoughts returned, but this time, he didn't fight them. He simply observed, letting them drift away like leaves on a stream. When he opened his eyes, the sun was rising, casting golden light across the temple grounds. What would happen if you emptied your cup and made room for new possibilities? Stay with me, because Hiroshi's journey is about to reveal how small changes can lead to profound transformation. One afternoon, Master Sora led Hiroshi up a steep trail that wound its way through the forest. The path was uneven, slick with moss, and Hiroshi found himself growing impatient as he slipped on the damp stones. "Why didn't you warn me this path would be so difficult?" Hiroshi asked, brushing dirt from his hands after a near fall. Master Sora turned to him, his expression calm but piercing. "Would you have listened if I had warned you?" Hiroshi opened his mouth to respond, then closed it. He realized the monk was right. He wouldn't have believed it until he experienced it for himself. They continued climbing until they reached a secluded cliff overlooking the valley below. The view was breathtaking. Rolling hills blanketed in mist, the distant river shimmering like silver thread. Master Sora gestured for Hiroshi to sit beside him. "Tell me, what do you see?" Hiroshi scanned the horizon. "I see beauty, peace." The monk nodded. "And yet this moment did not come easily. You stumbled. You grew frustrated. But you kept moving forward. Patience is not about waiting. It's about trusting the process, even when the path is unclear." Hiroshi thought about his life, the endless striving, the constant need for immediate results. What if he had approached his challenges with the same quiet determination he had shown on this trail? Master Sora picked up a small sapling growing stubbornly from a crack in the rock. This tree began as a tiny seed. It didn't grow overnight. It grew because someone cared for it, day after day, year after year. Growth takes time, and so does understanding. Hiroshi ran his fingers along the rough bark, feeling its strength. He realized that patience wasn't passive. It was an active choice to trust the journey, even when the destination seemed far away. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the cliff, Master Sora stood and gestured for Hiroshi to follow. "Come," he said. "There is one more lesson before your journey here is complete." Hiroshi hesitated, then rose to his feet. His legs ached, his body was tired, but his mind felt clearer than it had in years. Patience is not just about enduring, it's about embracing the process. As Hiroshi sat there, feeling the stillness around him, he began to realize that strength wasn't always about action. Sometimes, it was about allowing himself to simply be. The next morning, Hiroshi joined Master Sora in the temple's meditation hall. The room was simple. A few cushions on the floor, a low table holding a vase of fresh flowers, and the faint scent of incense lingering in the air. Master Sora gestured for Hiroshi to sit. "Today, we focus on letting go." Hiroshi frowned. Letting go of what? The monk didn't answer immediately. Instead, he handed Hiroshi a small wooden box. Inside were several smooth stones, each etched with a single word: fear, regret, doubt, anger, pride. "Choose one," Master Sora said. Hiroshi hesitated, then picked up the stone marked regret. It felt heavier than it should have. "Why this one?" the monk asked. Hiroshi sighed. "Because I've made so many mistakes. Things I can't change." Master Sora nodded. "And how does carrying that regret serve you?" Hiroshi opened his mouth to respond but stopped. He realized he had been clinging to his regrets, believing they somehow defined him. But all they did was weigh him down. The monk stood and walked to the window, gesturing for Hiroshi to follow. Outside, a group of monks was tending to a fire pit. They placed dry leaves and twigs into the flames, watching them burn away until nothing remained. "What do you see?" Master Sora asked. "They're burning things," Hiroshi replied. "Yes. And why do they do this?" Hiroshi thought for a moment. "To clear space, to start fresh." The monk smiled. "Exactly. Just as the fire consumes what is no longer needed, so too must you release what holds you back." He turned back to Hiroshi, his expression gentle but firm. "Hold the stone tightly in your hand. Now, imagine it represents everything you wish to let go of." Hiroshi closed his fingers around the stone, feeling its weight. "Now open your hand." Hiroshi obeyed, and the stone fell to the floor with a soft thud. "That is how you let go," Master Sora said. "Not by fighting, but by simply releasing your grip." Hiroshi stared at the stone, then at his empty palm. A strange sense of lightness washed over him. Later that day, as Hiroshi wandered through the temple grounds, he noticed a young monk sweeping the courtyard. The boy paused, looked at the pile of dust and leaves he had gathered, and smiled before scattering them with a gentle breeze. Hiroshi watched, realizing the lesson wasn't just about letting go. It was about trusting that new growth would always follow. Sometimes, the hardest part of moving forward isn't finding new paths. It's leaving the old ones behind. Hiroshi stood at the edge of the forest, looking back at the temple where he had spent weeks learning these lessons. Master Sora approached him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Remember, Hiroshi, the present moment is all we truly have. Use it wisely." Hiroshi nodded, feeling lighter than he had in years. The weight of his frustrations, his regrets, his endless striving, it was gone, replaced by a quiet sense of clarity. As he walked away from the temple, he noticed the world around him in a way he never had before. The rustling leaves, the gentle flow of the stream, the distant chirping of birds, all of it felt alive, connected. He thought about the lessons he had learned. The river that flowed without resistance, the single drop that carved through stone, the empty cup that made room for new wisdom. Each one had taught him something profound, yet simple. Life wasn't about grand gestures or chasing perfection. It was about embracing the small, consistent actions that shaped his days. It was about patience, stillness, and letting go of what no longer served him. When Hiroshi returned to his village, he carried these lessons with him. He began to approach his work, his relationships, and even his struggles with a newfound sense of purpose. He stopped trying to control everything and instead focused on what he could nurture, day by day, moment by moment. Over time, he noticed a change, not just in himself, but in the world around him. The people he interacted with seemed kinder, the challenges he faced less daunting. What if the key to living a fulfilling life wasn't about achieving more, but about experiencing more, about slowing down, creating space, and embracing each moment as it comes? Now I ask you, what would happen if you stopped chasing tomorrow and started living today? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how these lessons resonate with you. And if this story inspired you to rethink the way you spend your time, leave a like and subscribe for more reflections that challenge the way you see life. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And until next time, stay mindful, stay open-hearted, and remember, the best moments in life are the ones you live fully.